In 1938, Korea was poor and struggling. The country faced economic hardship, uncertainty, and limited opportunities. Most people were simply trying to survive from one day to the next. Amid these difficult conditions, a young entrepreneur named Lee Byung-chul decided to take a risk that would change history. With little capital but enormous ambition, he founded a small trading company called Samsung in the city of Daegu. At first, Samsung was far from a technology company. There were no smartphones, no televisions, no semiconductors, no giant factories. The company simply traded dried fish, vegetables, noodles, and other local products. Only a handful of employees worked for the business. The office was small, the resources were limited, and the future was uncertain. Every day was a challenge. Orders were difficult to secure, transportation was unreliable, competition was fierce. Many small businesses failed within their first few years. Samsung could have easily become one of them, but Lee Byung-chul believed in thinking bigger than his circumstances. While others focused only on surviving the next day, he dreamed about building a company that could last for generations. His vision was simple: work hard, earn trust, grow step by step. The name Samsung itself carried a powerful meaning. In Korean, Samsung means 3 stars. Lee chose this name because he wanted his company to become strong, everlasting, and bright like stars in the sky. At the time, that dream seemed impossible. How could a tiny trading company become something great? Nobody knew the answer. Customers saw only a small local business. Competitors ignored it. The world had never heard of Samsung. Yet behind the scenes, the foundation of a future empire was being built. Every shipment mattered. Every customer mattered. Every small profit was reinvested back into the company. Year after year, Samsung slowly expanded its operations. The company wasn't growing because of luck. It was growing because of discipline, persistence, and a refusal to quit. What looked like an ordinary trading business was actually the first chapter of an extraordinary story. A story that would eventually lead to billions of customers, hundreds of thousands of employees, and hundreds of billions of dollars in annual revenue. But in 1938, none of that existed. There was only a small office, a few workers, a determined founder, and a dream that seemed far bigger than reality. Samsung's incredible journey had just begun, to be continued. Then disaster struck. In 1950, the Korean War erupted. What had already been a difficult environment for businesses suddenly became a nightmare. Explosions shook cities. Families were separated. Millions of people were forced to flee their homes. Roads, railways, and ports were damaged or destroyed. The entire economy was thrown into chaos. For business owners, survival became almost impossible. Factories stopped operating, supplies became scarce, customers disappeared. Thousands of companies closed their doors forever. Samsung was caught in the middle of the crisis. Everything that Lee Byung-chul had worked so hard to build was suddenly at risk. Years of effort could have vanished overnight. Many people would have accepted defeat. Many would have walked away, but Lee Byung-chul made a different choice. He refused to surrender. Instead of focusing on what had been lost, he focused on what could still be built. During the war, Samsung relocated its operations to safer areas whenever necessary. The company adapted to changing conditions and continued doing business wherever possible. Every day brought new challenges. Resources were limited, transportation was difficult. The future was uncertain, yet Samsung continued moving forward. Lee understood something important: a crisis does not last forever. Those who survive the storm are often the ones who shape the future. When the war finally ended, Korea faced the enormous task of rebuilding. The country was one of the poorest in the world. Many people had lost everything. But Lee Byung-chul saw opportunity where others saw only destruction. He began expanding Samsung into new industries. The company entered sugar refining, then textiles, then insurance, then construction. Rather than relying on a single business, Samsung built multiple sources of income. This strategy made the company stronger and more resilient. Year after year, Samsung grew. While many former competitors had disappeared, Samsung was becoming larger than ever before. The war that could have destroyed the company instead became a turning point. It taught Samsung how to survive under pressure, it taught Samsung how to adapt, and it taught Samsung that persistence can overcome even the most difficult circumstances. By the late 1950s, Samsung was no longer just a small trading company. It had become one of Korea's most promising business groups. The company had survived a devastating war, and now, for the first time, it was ready to dream much bigger. The next decision would change Samsung forever, a decision that would eventually lead the company into the world of technology. In 1969, Samsung made a bold decision. It was a decision that would completely change the company's future. At the time, Samsung was already a successful business group in Korea. It had expanded into textiles, construction, insurance, and other industries. But Lee Byung-chul wanted more. He believed that the future belonged to technology. There was only one problem: Samsung knew almost nothing about electronics. The world's technology market was dominated by powerful Japanese and American companies. Brands like Sony, Panasonic, Toshiba, and others were years ahead. Their products were trusted around the world. Samsung was virtually unknown outside Korea. Most experts believed it would be impossible for Samsung to compete. The odds were stacked against them, but Samsung had built its reputation by taking risks. Instead of being intimidated, the company invested heavily in the future. Millions of dollars were poured into factories, engineers were hired and trained, new production lines were built, research centers began developing electronic products. Samsung's first electronics products were simple, black and white televisions, home appliances, basic electronic devices. They were not revolutionary, but every product taught Samsung something new. Every success built confidence. Every mistake became a lesson. Year after year, Samsung improved. The company studied foreign competitors carefully. It learned how the best electronics companies operated. Then it worked relentlessly to improve its own products. The goal was no longer just to participate in the industry. The goal was to become a leader. This required enormous patience. Profits were often reinvested back into research and manufacturing. Samsung understood that greatness would not happen overnight. It would take years, perhaps decades, but the company remained committed. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Samsung's electronics division was growing rapidly. Its products were becoming more reliable, its factories were becoming more advanced, its engineers were gaining valuable experience. Slowly but surely, Samsung was building the foundation for something extraordinary. What began as a risky experiment was turning into a powerful business. Few people realized it at the time, but Samsung was preparing for a future that would include computers, mobile phones, semiconductors, and technologies that would reach billions of people. The company was no longer just surviving, it was evolving. And soon, a new leader would arrive with a vision that would transform Samsung from a Korean company into a global technology giant. In 1987, Samsung faced one of the most important moments in its history. The company as founder, Lee Byung-chul, passed away. For nearly 50 years, he had built Samsung from a small trading company into one of Korea's largest business groups. Now, the future of the company was uncertain. His son, Lee Kun-hee, became chairman. Samsung was already successful. It generated billions of dollars in revenue. Its products were sold in many markets, but there was a major problem. Around the world, Samsung was not considered a premium brand. Many consumers viewed Samsung products as cheap alternatives to Japanese and American competitors. Companies like Sony dominated the global electronics industry. Samsung was growing, but it still lacked respect. Lee Kun-hee knew that simply making more products would not be enough. Samsung had to become better, much better. Then, in 1993, he delivered a message that would become legendary: change everything except your wife and children. Those words shocked the company. Employees realized that Samsung was about to transform itself completely. Lee Kun-hee demanded higher quality standards. He encouraged innovation. He pushed employees to think globally instead of locally. The old way of doing business was no longer acceptable. In one famous incident, Samsung discovered defects in thousands of mobile phones and electronic devices. Rather than selling them, the company publicly destroyed products worth millions of dollars. The message was clear: quality mattered more than short-term profits. Samsung was determined to earn the trust of customers worldwide. The company began investing enormous amounts of money into research and development. New laboratories were built, world-class engineers were recruited, advanced manufacturing facilities were constructed, billions of dollars flowed into innovation. The transformation was expensive, it was risky, and there was no guarantee of success. But Samsung believed that the future belonged to companies willing to reinvent themselves. Year after year, the results became visible. Samsung televisions improved. Samsung semiconductors became more competitive. Samsung mobile phones became more advanced. The company's reputation slowly began to change. What was once seen as a low-cost manufacturer was evolving into a technology powerhouse. For the first time, Samsung wasn't just trying to catch up with the world's best companies. It was preparing to compete with them, and soon, a technological revolution would arrive that would give Samsung its biggest opportunity ever. The smartphone era was about to begin. In 2007, the technology world changed forever. Apple launched the iPhone. It wasn't just a new phone, it was the beginning of the smartphone revolution. Touchscreens replaced physical keyboards. Mobile apps became a new industry. Consumers suddenly expected their phones to do much more than make calls and send messages. The entire mobile phone market was transformed overnight. For many companies, this change was devastating. Industry giants that once dominated the market struggled to adapt. Some lost market share, others disappeared completely. The competition became brutal. Samsung faced a critical choice. It could follow the old path and risk becoming irrelevant, or it could fight for the future. Samsung chose to fight. The company invested billions of dollars into smartphone development. Engineers worked relentlessly to create devices that could compete with the best in the world. Then came the Galaxy series. The first Galaxy phones marked the beginning of a new era for Samsung. Every year, the company improved its technology: better displays, faster processors, more powerful cameras, longer battery life. Samsung wasn't just building phones. It was building an ecosystem. The battle between Samsung and Apple quickly became one of the biggest rivalries in business history. Every new product launch attracted worldwide attention. Every innovation sparked competition. Every year brought new challenges, but Samsung continued pushing forward. One of the company's greatest strengths was its willingness to innovate. Samsung introduced larger screens when many competitors hesitated. It invested heavily in old display technology. It developed advanced camera systems. It became a leader in semiconductor manufacturing. These investments helped Samsung stand out in a crowded market. The results were extraordinary. Millions of Galaxy smartphones were sold, then tens of millions, then hundreds of millions. Samsung products reached customers in nearly every corner of the world. The company's revenue soared. Its global influence expanded. By the 2010s, Samsung had become one of the largest smartphone manufacturers on Earth. What began as a small trading company selling dried fish and noodles had become a technology giant competing on the world stage. But Samsung's ambitions were even bigger. The company was no longer focused on just smartphones. It wanted to lead the future of technology itself. And that future would make Samsung more powerful than ever before. To be continued, the global empire. Today, Samsung stands as one of the most powerful companies on Earth. What began in 1938 as a small trading business with a handful of employees has grown into a global technology empire. The company generates more than $200 billion in annual revenue. Its operations span dozens of countries. Hundreds of thousands of employees work across Samsung's businesses every day. But Samsung's influence goes far beyond the products carrying its logo. Millions of people use Samsung smartphones. Families around the world watch Samsung televisions. Businesses rely on Samsung displays and memory chips. In fact, even many devices made by competing brands contain Samsung technology. The company became a global leader in semiconductors, one of the most important industries in the modern world. From artificial intelligence to cloud computing, from smartphones to data centers, Samsung's technology helps power the digital age. Yet the journey was never easy. Samsung survived economic crises. It survived war. It survived fierce global competition. It faced failures, setbacks, and moments when success seemed far away. But each challenge made the company stronger. Each obstacle became a lesson. Each generation of leaders continued pushing the company forward. Today, Samsung invests billions of dollars every year into research and development. Its engineers are working on technologies that will shape the future. Artificial intelligence, advanced semiconductors, next-generation displays, robotics, future communication networks. The company that once sold dried fish and noodles is now helping define the next era of innovation. Samsung's story is about much more than business. It is a story of vision, a story of resilience, a story of believing in possibilities long before anyone else could see them. In 1938, few people knew the name Samsung. Today, billions do. From a tiny office in Korea to one of the world's most valuable and influential companies, Samsung proved that extraordinary achievements often begin with ordinary beginnings. A small dream became a global empire, and that is why Samsung's journey continues to inspire entrepreneurs, innovators, and dreamers around the world. The end, great success doesn't start with great resources. It starts with a great vision and the courage to never give up. Samsung's story